Hi, beautiful friends and soul family. How are you? I hope life is going well for you. We've had a lot of big cosmic energies going on at the moment, and I was actually this is my first video back after getting quite sick actually, and so for me, I feel like I'm coming at it with this whole fresh energy. It was like a rebirth for me, and I might do another video about that whole kind of relationship between illness and our consciousness and how that process can go hand in hand. But today I'm really excited. I want to share with you about a really big topic that I think we've all experienced, and that is this tendency to always doubt ourselves and second guess ourselves. And when we do that, we end up getting stuck in our head. We get stuck in our head, it's just kind of like this cycle of thoughts, and we run round and round and round, and we think that if we can just think harder, or we just gather more data or more facts, we're going to be able to come up with what we call the right outcome or the right answer. And the thing is that some answers that we're seeking aren't quantified. They're qualitative, I suppose you'd say. And so while the thinking mind and this logical, rational process, it's really important if we're trying to solve a maths problem, or if we're trying to design a building. We need all of that kind of factual, logical information and that data and that knowledge in order to rationalize and come to the correct answers. But not everything in life is a maths problem. But we've been taught, we're trained through everything, through our education system, through our upbringing, through, the way we learn to dull our emotional senses. We're taught that we can think our way through everything, and that everything is actually the function of the thinking mind is that everything is a problem to be solved. It's a problem-seeking mechanism as well. But so what do we do when we're faced with the need to access a different kind of wisdom, And before I jump into that, I also want to point out that around about 95% of the thoughts that you have today, 95% of the various pathways that our minds go down are exactly the same ones as we did yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. Now, I mean, what that says to me is that we're so limited in the structure of our thinking mind, in the nature of using the rational thought logical mechanism. And I do talk more about this in terms of the two aspects of mind in when I work with one-on-one. But we're limiting ourselves when we limit ourselves to the head brain. We're limiting ourselves to the same repetitive insights, wisdom, and processes, and we can input different data, but the actual process for rationalizing and sorting that data, it doesn't create any space for creativity. So I want to share with you. So this video is about stepping out of your monkey mind. And, I have so many examples of this throughout my own life where I would get stuck looking for the right answer. And what we realize when we start to do this work is that, we're self-determinant as humans. We create our life and our pathway. And so looking for the right answer is actually limiting us in terms of the reality that we create to the structure of possibility that somebody else has dictated to us. But the particular situation I want to share with you is when I sort of started going through this strange spiritual awakenings. And I was kind of trying to figure out what was happening, and there were a couple of things in my life, my relationship and my career being two main ones. And with the information that had been input, everything I'd learned about living a good life, how things were supposed to be, how to gather evidence, data, and to formulate decisions, I didn't know where to go. And I didn't know how to reconcile what I was seeing and experiencing in the outside world with what I was feeling and awakening inside, what felt like it was true for me. And so I would, this is when I was seeking different answers. And eventually, somehow the healing pathway came across came into my awareness, and a Reiki course popped up. And now the funny thing is, and the universe definitely has a sense of humor. I remember in my corporate career many, many, many years ago, actually making a joke about Reiki, about healing, about energetic work. And so when this kind of option came into my awareness, my thinking mind was still looking for solutions based on old paradigm thinking. It was still looking for solutions based on looking for the right answer. How will this fit into my life? How does this go with, my sense of identity and my sense of self? And you hit a stalemate when you focus and you limit yourself to that dimension of mind. There's only so far you can get. And you have to reach a point where you're willing to surrender and look for a deeper wisdom. And so that's what I did. And I let go of the shoulds, what seemed logical and rational to me. And I felt into, the gut feeling, the intuitive sense. And there were a lot of different factors that played into that, nuances, which I won't go into. But what I found in that moment, where I kind of let go of trying to fixate on the right answer or what the right outcome would be, and I just chose to take a step. And I chose that pathway, and I chose to do Reiki. And from the very first moment, from the very first day, from that very first course, it was like a homecoming. And this is what I want to share with you, is just how profound your experience of life can become, and your sense of alignment and purpose can become when you drop out of this thinking mind, which is based on the structure and rationale of the norms and the dictates that have been passed on to us throughout our lives and throughout our conditioning. When you drop out of that and you let yourself tune in and make a choice from a deeper truth, it can be an act of stepping into the unknown or the uncertain. But when we align with that, when you take that first step and when you start to connect with the wisdom of the body, you find that sense of deeper truth, and you become your own kind of vessel of truth. Reality can start to stream through you, and you can know yourself as more than just a human having a human experience. You come to know yourself as a soul in a body living a divine experience. So how do we do this? So there are three main steps that I'm going to share with you. Is that we have this, and so the first one is that we have this tendency to fixate. Our thinking mind, the monkey mind, it's hyper-focused, and it's also problem-focused. So we have this tendency to isolate a problem and then focus on trying to think of a solution. So when you find yourself in this state of kind of fixation, and that's what I referred to in the beginning, it's this kind of, we run cycles around our head. We think the same thoughts. We try and add data, but and that just complicates or confuses the mix, because there's more information, but less answers. And so when you get hyper focused, or when you find yourself really just in that that problem solving state, pause, take a step back, create some space between you and the so-called problem that you're trying to solve. Take a moment to breathe. So this breathing space, it you know, if you think about it kind of like a whirlpool or a tornado or something like that, and the thoughts are just kind of whizzing around. It's not until we actually put some space between the contents of our thoughts that we can get some breathing space, some perspective. And when we have some perspective and breathing space, then it gives the invitation from a mind that is higher than our thinking mind to offer us solutions, intuition, guidance. And again, this is a process we go much more deeply into in the one-on-one work I do. So, and if you're interested in that, there's details to get in touch down in the comments box. So yeah, so here we have this, and this space for the whispers to come forth. And so point 2, it is, and meditation is a key here. This is one of the prime techniques I use, but creating the space for these whispers of intuition to arise. So first we want to pause. The second, we want to sit in that space that we've created, whether it's meditation, whether it's breath work, whether it's just a means of connecting with a part of us that is expanded beyond the limitation of our problem-focused thoughts. And it's where the soul can speak to you, and the soul can bring through ideas. So, if in step 1 we pause and we take a breath, in step 2 we meditate and we actually invite a solution, instead of actively seeking, like a heat-seeking missile, instead of actively trying to seek answers to a perceived problem, we sit in the presence and acceptance of the space that we are in. And in that space, often we will find that our higher self, inner being, universe, whatever you want to call it, will offer up a way forward, or it will alleviate the intensity of this whole concept of right and wrong. And you'll move with more flow, grace, and more true nature into a more aligned pathway. And number 3, we tune into our body. So meditation is based as one element, but actually actively tuning into the feeling in our body. If we're faced with needing to make a choice, there's option A or option B. If we can feel into our body, our felt sense will usually guide us. And again, this can be a layered and nuanced part of the healing process. But as a general rule, something that feels like it's expansive. If I'm making a choice to, the simple choice of just going out to a party, and I'm not sure whether to go, I don't know whether I want to go, and I sit and I feel into my body, and my body, the thought of seeing these people, seeing my friends, connecting, having conversations, if that feels expansive, then that's an intuitive guidance that this will be a nourishing and an enjoyable choice to make. On the flip side, if I think about going there and my body contracts, maybe these people are not energetically aligned for me, maybe whatever the situation may be. But when you feel that sense of contraction and separation in your body, then that gives you an answer as to perhaps what's going to be the most nurturing and nourishing and highest outcome for your highest good. Now, a side note to that last one, when we're living in a world where there's such high levels of anxiety, it's easy to, and in the example I used, say a social situation, it's easy to go, oh, I think about going there, but I get contracted and I get anxious. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we aren't going to go, but it is an opportunity to question ourselves further, to go deeper with an intuitive inquiry and non-judgmental inquiry. Remember, the thinking mind is judgmental, problem-focused. But if we just have an open inquiry, ask the question, where's this coming from? And your body knows, you know. So I hope this has been of service. It's really just taking the steps to drop out of our head mind and into our body mind. Because if you think about it, you know, when we have these three minds, you know, the heart mind, the gut mind, and the head mind, we all spend most of our time in the head mind, in the thinking mind, solving problems, being logical, rational, what's the best outcome. And it doesn't bring into the equation what's for my soul's purpose, what is aligned with my deepest, innermost truth, what's going to give my soul the greatest opportunity to grow and to evolve. And so, you know, when we live in our heads, it's like we're only accessing the tip of the iceberg, the tip of the, and that's almost literally that subconscious analogy, because our subconscious speaks through our embodiment and our intuitive nudges. So, my beautiful friends, thank you for joining me. It's so beautiful to be back. I hope this has served. I would love to hear from you. If you have any comments, questions, or insights, please do share in the comments below. And of course, if you feel like working together or exploring working together, you can get in touch with the details in the comments. So much love and stay well.